Evening hours, playing on your favorite radio device, and always on WWNN Money Talk Radio. Hi guys, welcome to Tedi Unscripted. As you can see, I have to adjust a little bit because we're in a bit of a new area. I get to be live at the radio station. I'm coming to you live on your radios, your car radios, your house radios, on the iHeart Internet app. I'm so sorry. There are even more places that you will now hear my voice. And at 7 o'clock at night, we have Tedi Unscripted evening hours, which I could not be more excited for because I have the opportunity to bring back one of the most amazing people we've ever gotten to interview. She is one of the co-founders, the executive director of this amazing brand called Ability Adaptive Wear. And we had her on, and that video, when I say went viral, I mean the biggest video I've ever seen on my show. It was 3,000 hits. And I had so many people calling me saying, can we have her back? We have more questions for her. We want to know more about all of their work. We want to know more about what they do. We want to know more about, well, I'll just bring Miss Marta on so we can talk more about it. Hi, can you hear me, Marta? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you right now.
Oh, no. We have to make sure the audio line is on bus A so you can hear me. But until you can hear me, let me know when you can. I'm so excited to be able to bring her on. Last time we had talked, we were talking all about she has these products that mainly help for kids, for adults who have different type of abilities. So people with feeding tubes, people with the bags that I never remember what they're called, the astronomy bags. But she's gonna, I'm sure, school me when she can hear me. They're trying to fix it right now. And it is all kinds of amazing things that help you feel more confident in who you are. And we've talked about a lot of people feel very self-conscious. A lot of people feel very nervous to do what they want to do, like kids running around and playing sports, kids trying to play tag with being afraid that their tubes are going to pull out, fall out, get grabbed. It's not an ideal situation. Her company makes things like clips that go in your clothes, covers to cover bags, to let you take back what you want, what you need, take back your body and your self-esteem so you can absolutely do the best thing you can, running out and feeling as good as you can, looking as good as you can, and being a little sassy with it. There's a few ones that I know I can't say now they're on radio. I can't quite say the words for it, but okay. No, they're good. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. I'm so happy. So I was just talking about our last show and all things you had told me. Why don't you tell everyone, since we're on a whole new platform, a whole new audience, what Ability Adaptive Wear is?
Yeah, so Ability Adaptive Wear is a company that I founded with a family friend about 4 years ago. Today is actually our anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Oh, what an exciting time.
Yeah, so it kind of worked out. So we founded Ability Adaptive Wear 4 years ago. Based on some experiences that my partner, who's a pediatric surgeon, had with a patient. Her name is Dr. Julie Sanchez, and we've been in each other's lives forever. So this was kind of another step forward, I guess, was starting a business together. So she had a patient that came in with their parent, and it was a young boy with autism, and she had just placed a feeding tube in his abdomen, and he came back, and the mom was just having trouble like describing how hard it was to have a child who not only had autism and had a really hard time staying dressed and getting dressed, but now also had a feeding tube. So we tried to figure out, what could we do to just help this family, this one family, and we came up with a onesie that has a little opening right in the abdomen for feeding tubes, and then we just got excited. We kept talking to more patients, more people, and just we were astounded by, I guess, like all of the adaptive needs that could be solved by clothing that no one was doing. So that's kind of how we got started, and that's still the way we come up with product ideas. And, we still talk to people directly and get feedback and get input on what we should be making. But that's kind of, I guess, the gist of what we do.
I love that. And last time, and I know we talked about in the last interview, but again, I want to get it out so much about the bag covers, because that has been the thing that I've had the most people asking me about. The most people were blown away. I didn't realize how many people had family members, just like we talked about, that are self-conscious and want to hide their bags and hide what their body can do now and what their body is healed to be able to do, and how your company allows them to show it off.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about the ostomy bag covers, is that correct? Yeah, so those that was one of our first products as well. After the feeding tube bodysuit for babies, we just started going into like, what kinds of accessories can we make for medical devices, and we tried to go after the most common medical devices first. And surprisingly, colostomy bags or ileostomy bags, depending on what the medical condition is, those are much more common than people think. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's in the millions worldwide, if not tens of millions of people. And we noticed that this is something. Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's not like it's not a
Yeah.
small group.
I always
And
thought
that
it was
kind of
like a very rare amount of people. Like I in my
right.
life have only known one person, and to hear those huge numbers, it makes me sad to see how
Yeah.
many people feel they have to hide them.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of true of a lot of different medical needs, medical devices, chronic illnesses. They tend to be, in greater numbers than people would think because, some of them are what people refer to as invisible illnesses, which is something that, it's a disability or an illness that someone has that's not like immediately visible. So, when you see someone in a wheelchair, that difference in ability is very, very visible. But when you meet someone with a colostomy bag, it's under clothing. So we made this product sort of to, it serves a function. It's waterproof. It helps keep leaks in the colostomy so that people aren't
Oh.
leaking on their clothing. But it's also something that's fun or cute that lets people kind of show off their colostomy without having to show the medical device itself if that's what they want.
Yes, I love that so much. And by the way, I just noticed if you see me looking to the side, that's like the TV. By the way, if you're listening to me on the radio, you can find me on Facebook and see the pictures that we're scrolling through of all these products. If you're on Facebook, you see me looking to the side, that's where the TV is, so I can actually see the products. But I love your shirt. I just saw it and I was like,
Thank
yes,
you.
I love that. If you want to hear on
Yeah.
radio, it says Black Disabled Lives Matter. That I want one of those. I would like a link to that,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, so I actually wanted to shout out the
Yeah.
co-founder or the founder of this company. She has a disability herself. She's Black. Her website is Girls Chronically Rock, and
Ooh.
this shirt says, "Yeah, Black Disabled Lives Matter," because it's super important, I think, to recognize that you can't have Black Lives Matter without Black Disabled Lives Matter.
100%. And I think that a lot goes back to, I remember years ago when, when I at least first heard of Black Lives Matter, when it was coming out and the All Bodies Matter and all that. It was people saying you're not talking about the amputees. You're not talking about people who aren't your aesthetic mattering. They're
Yeah.
talking about who they assume. So I love that. And I'd love to get in touch with her and bring her on the show and
Yeah.
get all that out there because
Yeah.
that, again, I want to be able to promote this to show the side that people don't realize, that I don't realize, and educate myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'll connect you too.
please do. We also saw on the bottom one of the things, I think it was the insulin pump belts, correct?
Yes, yeah. That is that's the product that kind of took us viral with American Eagle's Airy line. So the insulin pump belt is basically imagine like a super soft waistband. If you're looking on Facebook, you can see pictures, but if you're listening on radio, it's a really soft waistband that people have come to us and said this is like the softest material I've ever found. That's the point. We tried really hard to find that material. It's really soft. It's moisture wicking. It actually has SPF 50, so people sun
Oh, wow.
sensitivities, or for people whose medical device might be sensitive to sun, it helps protect that. But it has a zipper pocket that's pretty hidden where you can store your insulin pump or a feeding tube extension or your iPhone or, for me, dog treats when I'm going on a walk. So it's kind of a multifunctional belt with a little zipper that hugs the body, but it can be used for many things. And that's true of most of our items. We might have developed it for one medical need or medical device, but you can use it across, a multitude of different needs.
And that's really, I never thought of that until you just said it, because that is, as you were saying, I was like, oh, that sounds like a really cool thing. Like, I would love to use that at the gym when gyms reopen. I haven't gone to the gym yet, when they reopen. But that would be an amazing thing to be able to hold your keys, to be able to hold your key card, anything like that. And you don't really think of, when you think of something designed for someone with a disability, you don't have that disability, try and find something similar. It helps normalize everything of like, yeah, I use this as a running belt. Use it for, like you said, your feeding tube extensions. And that's an amazing way. And again, your company's so I hate to keep using the word amazing, but amazing at it, of normalizing
It's
all
okay.
these disabilities and all these different abilities so that people can just feel who they are and they don't feel like a sore thumb sticking out, which is what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I would say, in addition to that, we try to take it an extra step. So there are belts like running belts for iPhones that you could put an insulin pump in, but we try to think about, what additionally would someone with medical needs want. So we took away all the hard parts. There's no plastic, clips or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that most belts have. And the seams are meant to be really soft and sensory friendly. So if you have autism or a sensory processing disorder in addition to an insulin pump or a
Mm-hmm.
feeding tube, then this belt should work for you.
That's amazing. And again, it's the little
Yeah.
things you don't think that you guys have gone so in depth of thinking. And again, we talked about on the last show, the sensory issues of the little tags and the seams getting so itchy. For me, it would drive me crazy. But for someone with all that built onto it, I can't imagine how they could go about life saying, do I need my insulin pump with me? Or do I not want to have a panic attack in public? Because it happens.
Yeah,
Tell me about some of the other
definitely.
products
And
that you guys are making.
sure, let's see. Do you have anything you'd like me to start with, or should I just choose some of our popular ones?
Choose anything. Choose your favorite one, the one that we haven't
Okay.
talked about.
Okay, so the one product that's really popular right now, and that I love the colors that we have for this one, is the baseball tee. It's made for kids and adults, so we try to make something for all ages. But it's a baseball tee, long sleeves, really soft fabric, sensory seams. Again, no tags.
Mm-hmm.
We do heat press labels to make things ultra soft and sensory friendly always. But the purpose of this shirt is to provide access to like the shoulder and chest area without having to totally remove your clothing. And so the reason that that's really important is
Oh.
for people who, have chemo ports or have some sort of port for, their infusions, the medicine that they receive to help them, get over or get through the chronic condition that they have. And what this does is it allows you to sort of open up the shirt at the neckline, down the shoulder, so that you can have access to that chest area
Mm-hmm.
without having to totally pull down your shirt or take it off, which tends to be the case. And we just imagined like sitting in a dialysis room or sitting and getting your chemo infusion and having to take your shirt off. If you're just a human in general, but then think about if you're a teenager going through puberty, like how uncomfortable would that be? Or if you're a child who, already is reminded that you're ill, we try to bring more comfort to that situation and kind of provide some more humanity and take away that, unnecessary vulnerability and dehumanizing effect.
No, that's again, like these are some of these products because I've gone through. You guys have so many products. I see promotions for upcoming ones, for ones that are out, all the different colors, the materials, which I love. This one I haven't seen yet, and it makes me slightly, emotional because my dad was on dialysis for gosh, like 6, 8 months, something. And I remember he told me one of the worst parts was that it's a cold room. And he's like, I had to, his port was in his chest. And he said, I had to sit shirtless with all these people
Yeah.
around me doing my dialysis for 4 hours every day. He had to go do it. And he said it was one of the most, exactly as you said, dehumanizing, humiliating. My dad's an older guy. He doesn't want to talk to people shirtless. He doesn't want that. He wants to be at home and he's cold and he just has a blanket on him. And for him to have had that, and I wish I had known about it when he was in it, because that
Mm-hmm.
would have been such a lifesaver and it would have made him, exactly as you said, feel more comfortable, be warmer, and feel more like this was something he could do instead of how he
Yeah.
felt, which was, thank God he got out of it, but just barely. And it really took a toll on his mental health. So that
Yeah,
is to hear
definitely.
something like that you've thought of every little detail of every type of situation someone can be in is, it gets to me a little bit. It gets in right in the chest
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing. And I mean, this is the reason that I do this is I love like I love that everyone has a story, whether it's them or their family member or a friend. Everyone knows someone who's had cancer, gone through chemo, had a chronic condition, had some sort of disability. So it's everywhere, and I think we can all connect to it. And it feels so special to be able to to bring out these stories and make them more visible by providing a platform and a way to talk about them. And if for us, we can talk about these things in the context of adaptive clothing, then that's great. And that's, that's what gets me up in the morning, definitely.
It is. And I'm so thankful to you and to your other co founder and to everyone in your company who's doing all of this, that you looked into your hearts and you said, this is a problem. And you didn't just say, we solved the one problem we had, done, I'm fine. You said, we solved this, or at least we helped to solve it. We made it more accessible for people to feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we take it a step farther? How can we help even more people and make more people feel better about themselves and what they can do and give them that normal feeling? And again, we had talked about the clips that you have, because I know we talked about the onesies that kept the feeding tubes in, but for kids, you have clips that go in
Mm-hmm.
clothes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So those are the cath clips, like catheter clips, and those we have in a bunch of different colors and different styles, and those are also on American Eagle's website right now. You can buy them there. You can also buy them on our website, abilityadaptivewear.com. But the purpose of those is to help kind of like wrangle and secure, catheters, tubes, any sort of like line or extension that you have in the hospital or at home, that dangles or gets caught on doorknobs or gets caught on your jeans, anything like that. The purpose of these clips is to secure them and then let you carry around whatever cords you need to carry around. So if you're a kid and you have a feeding tube that you stay attached to during the day, we often see parents put the feeding bags and the pumps in a little backpack
Mm-hmm.
that the kid can wear around. And so the cath clip sort of provides an extra little piece that helps keep cords close to the body so that they just don't get caught on things. So it's a pretty simple concept, but it's a super, super functional little, I guess, invention.
No, I
that
think it's
helps a lot of
amazing.
people.
And we had talked about last time how I had seen on your, I believe it was your Facebook page, how one of the reasons for that was so kids could run around without fear of someone accidentally grabbing one of their tubes or pulling it out. And the more I think about it, and as we had talked about doing this interview, I kept thinking about it and thinking about the fear of, if I was a kid, like I was a kid with long hair, my fear was, oh, someone's going to pull my hair. It's scary. But the fear of, I have a feeding tube in that someone could, I'm just playing around. No one's trying to be rough. We're playing like tag football and someone could fall and
Yeah.
rip your feeding tube out, or,
Yeah.
pull something that they couldn't, that now you have to go to the doctor. That's a terrifying experience. It can really keep you from being a kid. So these little
Yeah.
easy adjustments that you can do that are so accessible, that they're in Aerie, which by the way, Aerie is at like our local mall. We can go there, I'm sure, and get it. Like we have an Aerie right there, which is incredible to me.
They're only online right now, but we're working on it. Maybe one
Yo,
day
I
they'll be
want to
in
push it as
stores.
hard as it can go, because I think that would be, there's nowhere that you can do that. And even, an Aerie
Yeah.
website, I buy my leggings off there. All shout out to Aerie, not a sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
but they have the best leggings I've ever tried in my life. I go on their website all the time, and I've, now as I go on, I'm seeing it. I'm saying, oh, that's really cool that they have that. That's really cool that they're adapting
Yeah.
to it. And now to be able to talk to you, who was one of the people who created it and who made
Yeah.
it so accessible, that now kids are like, oh, I got, the little colors. You can be like, oh, I got my pink one at Aerie. I got my little blue one at
Yeah.
Ability Adaptive Wear. I love it.
Yeah, and that's our goal for the future is partnering with Aerie, other companies, or just continuing to sell the products ourselves. We want to create things that don't look medical, that are nice, that are trendy, that you would want to wear as an accessory the same way you would wear like a running belt or
Mm-hmm.
some sort of other athletic item or utilitarian item. We want to make them cute and functional, and we hope that that will help normalize not just apparel that's adaptive, but adaptive needs in general. You mentioned, you were talking earlier about being a kid and playing if you have a feeding tube and it getting pulled out. And you're right, that actually can be a very traumatic experience. And, many physicians even go so far as to say that that can be a cause of PTSD in children who are growing up with chronic illnesses and different medical devices or disabilities. And so we really want to help kind of normalize having these different adaptive needs, but also help like lessen the burden. So make the daily life of a kid with a feeding tube easier by taking away that component of risk when they're just playing like another kid.
And let them be that other kid that they see themselves as and that they are. They're just a kid
Yeah.
who has a feeding tube. It's not some poor child who's not allowed to play and do all these things. They're a kid who has a bag, who has a colostomy bag, and that's super cool. And I was like, I wish I could talk about that pink bag that I can't say the words that it has on it on radio, but you need to go on Ability Adaptive Wear, and I'm going to spell it for everyone who's on the radio. It's ABILITEE, adaptivewear.com. It gave me such like a little chuckle, giggle the first time I saw it, and then I really thought about it. I was like, oh, I get it. Okay. It took me a second, and I was like, oh, that's good. I wish I could talk about it on radio, but our board up would kill me, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. No bad words. But for people who are listening, we have colostomy bag covers that have cute little phrases that will make you chuckle. So yeah, if you're interested, go to our website and check those out. They're little plays on words having to do with poop.
There you go. See, she explains it way better than I do. I just laugh. I'm like the person who starts a joke and then I just can't finish it because I'm like crying laughing at the end and no one knows what I'm talking about. But I made myself giggle, so that's fine. But we are starting to come to the end of the show. I want to say, is there one more product you want to get out there? Is there anything else that you want to say to get your company?
Yeah. So one thing that we haven't really touched on yet is for women who are either, going through shoulder surgery or chemo, like I mentioned earlier, or breastfeeding. We have a recovery blouse is what we call it. And it's basically a kimono wrap blouse that has really, discreet snaps along the shoulders and neckline that let you access chemo ports or let you breastfeed without, totally pulling down your top or removing it. And then, which our third partner, Saba, who's joined us recently, she actually used it when she was breastfeeding and she loved it. So that's always a good sign. But it's a really, really comfortable, stylish kimono top that is meant to be adaptive for many different needs. And we've had people purchase these for their mom or their grandma. It's meant to be worn by all ages. So that would be probably the last of my favorite products to mention.
I wish the people on the radio could like see my jaw drop, because again, that's something like, oh yeah, baseball tee that helps people with ports. That's amazing. But then what if you don't want to wear baseball tee every day? You have this adorable kimono blouse that you can use for breastfeeding, which again, my sister just got done breastfeeding. Her baby is like fully on bottle now. I wish I had known it because that was one of her biggest, she lives in Seattle, in like downtown Seattle. And that was one of her biggest pet peeves. Would they be out and she'd have to like go into a bathroom to feed her kid rather than just, cloth shirt. She had to fully take off her shirt. And that's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's another kind of, quote unquote adaptive need that people don't usually lump in with other adaptive needs because it's not considered, a need because of a disability or a chronic illness, but a stage of life. And, we think that adaptive clothing should be adaptive to all stages of life in addition to all sorts of disabilities or chronic illnesses.
100%. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited that you got to be my first on-air Tedi Unscripted radio guest. If you're listening on the radio, you can always rewind, go on to Facebook, TEDI Unscripted. You can go back to all the pictures that we had shown at first, or Ability, ABLITEE. Did I spell that right? I'm so bad at spelling.
Yes.
adaptivewear.com, and you can see all of their amazing products. You can also go on airy.com and they have products on there. And thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you hopefully soon.
Thanks so much, Teddy.
Ew. Tedi Unscripted evening hours, playing on your favorite radio device and always on WWNN Money Talk Radio.
Not all CBD products are made the same.